Hey Stampers, today I'm going to share with you a few little watercoloring techniques. Now, I just want to point out that I am no watercolor expert, I'm no artist. It's just what I've learned playing around, and I wouldn't even say that I'm too good at it, but I do love the look of it, so I like to play around with it. Okay, so I'm starting with a stamp set that's called Happy Scenes from the 2015 Stampin' Up! Holiday Catalog, and we're using the fall scene. And I've stamped the image on watercolor paper using the new basic black Archival ink that is also found in that holiday catalog. Alright, you want to make sure that the image is completely dry before you start. And because of the nature of the image and what I'm coloring, I'm going to use a combination of AquaPainters and also blender pens. Alright, so we'll set those, actually I'll set those aside. I'm going to start with a little bit of pumpkin pie, and if you squeeze our ink pads, it actually transfers ink onto the lid, and then you can pull the color from there. Let's move this out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to start with the AquaPainter, and this, all you do is it unscrews and you just fill it with tap water. So then it's like a consistently wet paintbrush. Pull some color from there. And then I'm just going to add a bit of orange in here. And I'm just going to run a bit, make it a little lighter. So I took some of the color off. And you can also use scrap paper to do that as well. And the more moisture you add to this, I'm hoping that you guys can see this. I hope my hand's not in the way. Maybe I'll do it upside down like this. The more water that you add, the more moisture that you add to watercolor paper and the ink, it will lighten it and water it down a little bit. Okay, so now I'm taking some crushed curry. Again, I'm going to squeeze that, transfer the ink to the surface. And what I'm going to do is just on some scrap paper, I'm just going to run the AquaPainter until there's no color left, so none of that orange left. And that's how you clean it. Works the same way with the blender pen. So I'm going to pull some yellow, and then I'm going to go over it to kind of blend it a little bit. And you can see that I'm going over the leaves, I'm not being very careful about it, and that's okay because you know what, watercoloring, that's why I like it so much, it's not meant to look perfect. And I want it to be a little darker around where the tree is, so that's a little bit more concentrated. And then I want it to be a little lighter. And you can squeeze the AquaPainter to get a little bit more water to come out if you're finding that it doesn't seem to have enough moisture. It's also good to have a paper towel handy when you use the AquaPainter too, because sometimes it does come out a little bit more than what you want. I'm okay with that. That looks good. Okay, so I'm going to take that, and again, I'm going to use it in a different color, so I'm just running it, making sure all the color is out. Close this up. And now I'm going to do the ground, so I'm going to do some Old Olive. And take some dark. I don't know if I can do it upside down. I'm hoping my hand's not in the way here. So again, and I'm kind of making it dark around where there's things on the ground and where you would think that there would be shadows. So you'd think it would be a little bit darker around where the pumpkins are. So then I'll add a little bit more color. But remember, if you can always just add more moisture to make it lighter and remove some of that color. Okay, all right, so I'm happy with that. So now, because of all my larger surfaces are done, I'm going to set the AquaPainter aside. I won't need the AquaPainter anymore. I find that for smaller images, more detailed images, I find it much easier to use the blender pens because you have a little bit more control. So the AquaPainter, like I said, it's like a consistently wet paintbrush. So sometimes there's lots of moisture in that, and I find it harder to control the coloring in different areas. So that's when I turn to my Aqua painter, or sorry, my blended pen, sorry. So I'm going to turn back to Pumpkin Pie to color my pumpkins. And again, both of these tips are the same. They actually come in a package of 3. So I'm just going to make sure that there's no color in there. You can see that it's really dirty. It started with white, and that's just because it's been used a lot in different colors. So it starts to stain. But by running it on scrap paper, you can see if there's any color remaining in there, color residue. And I'm just going to take that and color all my pumpkins. And with this one, because it's harder to get that nice watercolor look, harder to control, because there isn't as much moisture, I start light and then go back and add some darker shadows in here. So then I'll go back and add a few shadows in here. And I'll probably go back with a darker color actually, because it's such a small image, it's harder to see that darker color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of Cajun Craze and just add, whoops, some of that in here as the shadow color. So you can see, and by adding just a little bit of darkness in there, it just gives the pumpkins more dimension. And again, like I said, I'm not an artist. I don't know where the shadows would be. I just don't see things that way. So I'm just kind of playing around with it until I like the looks of it, and I'm happy with that. So then I'm going to go, it's not always about things being perfect, it's just what you like, and just play around with it, and I mean, in the end, it's going to look amazing. So now I'm just coloring the leaves, and again, I'm not being too careful about being in the lines. That's the whole watercolor look. And there we go. It's done. Isn't that cute? And it's so fun. So I really encourage you to try to get over your fear of it not being perfect and watercoloring, because it really is fun to experiment with new techniques. So this card does have a fancy fold, but just to keep the video a little shorter, I am going to film a separate video to show you how to do that fold. All right, so be sure to check my YouTube channel for that one. They should be posted within a matter of a couple days from each other. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.